frames per second. So when it gets shown or gets projected, it all looks really slow and majestic.
And naturally, in such an intense action sequences, there is usually also very prominent use of score, of music.
Das ist ja ein Traum für einen Komponisten, so ein Film, wo Hubschrauber durch Wasserfälle durchfliegen und versteckte Maya-Tempel da irgendwo in Höhlen auftauchen. Weil man einfach die Möglichkeiten, die in einem großen Sinfonieorchester stecken, die ganzen farblichen Möglichkeiten, auch die Power, die in so einem Orchester steckt, weil man die dann zeigen kann. Und zwar von eben halt so einer Riesentotale, wo alles voller Menschenmassen ist, bis hin, wo sich zwei gegenüberstehen und anschauen und nur noch vielleicht ein Soloinstrument spielt. Das ist halt, wie gesagt, eine sehr direkte Musik. Dur ist Dur und Moll ist Moll. Und wenn Bewegung im Bild ist, dann wird auch im Orchester sehr viel Bewegung sein.
Set. And action.
What the? Oh no! Mom! We cannot allow my mother to see this sequence ever. She believes that we really were standing on a bridge. Oh wow! Can we see that one more time? I have never died so well in a scene. I have to admit.
For shooting, the blue screen background elements or means of transportation were a little more low-tech, as you can see. And we had this little donkey cart to transport our equipment. And there was actually no existing valley. We actually had to create this valley in the computer and have the jet fighter computer animated fly through this virtual valley.
I think we were eventually quite happy with the outcome of the sequence, and it was tricky to find out if we can really sustain such a long sequence in a completely virtual environment, if we can do that with our means.
Obviously the bridge was not very high and we had to simulate everything. The river was actually shot from a bridge, from a freeway bridge.
Freeway bridge in Mexico.
Would I have stayed on the bridge? Hell no! I would not have even gone near the bridge. No, this is Hollywood land.
Our production designer, Michael Meyer, not only did conceptual art, but he also did the design for the village, Timagualpa, which became our only big set that we set up at Churubusco Studios in Mexico City.
And even though it's an exterior, actually, in the movie, we had to do it as a set inside a studio because we wanted to fog it all in, and to keep a certain fog level, that would be impossible to do it outside.
We had these huge fog machines running for hours and hours to keep the level of the fog all the time consistent, and it's quite a tricky thing to do. And then, of course, we also needed miniatures. This is 15 scale, and it had to fit exactly, again, from the fog level to all the live action sets that we shot in.
I remember that this idea of building the miniature of Timagualpa came in very late and wasn't even budgeted. But then Volker said, no, it's fine. We can use pretty much, shoe boxes almost.
Cardboard boxes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there are the cardboard boxes here.
And I think it holds up. It ties in nicely with the rest of the sequence.
Direct cut from the miniatures to the live action set, and works out nicely.
Train crash, I think, is a classic scenario that belongs into such an adventure movie, but we didn't do it in the classic way.
Because we had to shoot the truck and the train separate, and it was actually no problem to shoot the truck and the jeeps, but then we had to wait for the train to arrive, which, according to Mexican schedules, took quite a while.
Well, I think the schedules weren't quite clear. I don't know if they even had a schedule. I mean, there were some guesses between 7 in the morning and 7 in the evening.
Exactly.
So we just came early enough and waited.
Yeah, and waited.
And waited.
But they were late, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But then when it finally came, the train, sure enough, it showed up with the
wrong way.
wagons in the front, so the wrong way around, so we couldn't really use it. And that was a moment of desperation right there.
And then we actually sent some people, including you, Mark,
Yeah.
after the train to figure out what to do.
Yeah, so we came to the next town and actually met the people that were driving the train. It was manned by 7 people, and they actually said, well, buy us a lunch and we'll drive the train back and drive it a couple times back and forth. And that's what we did. So for like $30, we got the entire thing.
And here we did some Pullman's process again with our actors and the miniatures. This was actually a G.I. Joe Jeep that the guys from Hunter Gretzner found and prepared it in a way that we could use it as the miniature.
And there's the engine block.
Yeah.
Very nice.
The radiator.
And here's the final sequence with all the elements put together.
And obviously we didn't need to use a stunt driver for this because it was all shot separately. The Mayan temple caves were a gigantic location that, of course, was not existing at all, and everything was pre-planned by our production designer Michael Meyer. He did dozens of drawings for us, so we could pre-visualize everything in detail.
This was all about scope and size and adventure feel, but we needed some real elements to shoot the foregrounds in, at least.
And then eventually we found this
The
ruin of
a sugar mill in Mexico.
That was about an hour away from our hotel, so the shooting days were kind of limited in time, and everything had to go real fast.
And here just little old ancient Mayan elements that we added to the sugar mill. It was great. It was a very beautiful location with all the roots overgrown over the walls.
Then, of course, a lot of blue screen stuff as well to tie in the miniatures and to, make the location bigger.
So it's always a foreground set and a background miniature that's being used, and everything shot live action.
Was combined with miniatures then.
And
right?
here you see me in my room doing what I love to do best, play with toys.
It really is. I mean, especially the caves, to me, appeared like the best toys on the planet. They were so detailed and so much fun to shoot in. It really took you to a different place, even though they were just miniatures.
And what always took away from the fun was that we also had to smoke in those stages to get the right level of atmosphere, and we had these smoke machines running before shooting our digital photos of the caves. So it's a little harder to breathe in there.
But the advantage of using digital photos was that on set we could already composite and check and stitch photos together, and that was basically Mark's job on set to accomplish that.
And then everything gets composited together, and in this case by Paul Graf, who did a lot of the cave shots.
So there are many tanks from the Coronadian government and the rebels that are actually featured prominently in the movie, but we never had a real tank. So
It's not like in a James Bond movie where you would actually get some real tanks and buy some real tanks and use them in your movie. We had to come up with different visual effects techniques, and besides a couple of tanks that were built in the computer, but just for the background, we had this what is it, quarter scale?
I think it was quarter scale.
it was a 600-pound miniature tank.
Remote controlled, built by Hunter Gretzner, and this is the tank that is featured absolutely prominently.
I think that's a real tank. It's just a little smaller.
Yeah,
You could ride on it.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
can ride on it, you can drive through walls, obviously, as you can see here.
Like this.
You can even fire through the barrel.
The tank plays as two tanks, and there are various parts that we change out to get different aesthetic looks. Primarily the mechanical and the foundation of the tank is the same, but the skins that go on it are altered, different color, different turret, which gives it a totally different look.
And as you see here, we featured the tanks prominently.
It is a little piece of set build that we actually did probably for $20, I think, in Mexico, and it's
Constantly fell apart. Watch the upper left corner of the cockpit.
and here it goes.
The pain in the ass.
What? The tape! The tape! Yes!
But I think it holds up in the movie remarkably
I think it works pretty well, yeah.
for what it was.
Yeah, I think not necessarily one of my favorite shots, but we had digital still photographs of Mexico in the background.
And then for the tanks in at the presidential palace, at the big Mexican shootout, if you will, at the end we had smaller scale, I think 24th scale or something, tanks
Like that, yeah.
for photographs.
And the palace again is put together from still photos.
From all over Mexico City, really.
No need to be scared now.
And our pyrotechnician Richard Stutzman preparing one of the tanks that was especially put together for pyro, so we wouldn't blow up the hero model. Obviously, those were special pyro tanks that were pretty much just an empty shell. And so it's a mix of the computer-generated helicopters and quarter-scale miniature tanks blowing up for this sequence here.